Sometimes they say nothing happens in decades, and then finally they say a week can happen in decades. And basically that's what happened this week. A whole gang of stuff. Vecchio actually reminded me of that saying. I don't remember that shit. Let's move to the next slide. Big time movements this week. We're still getting them, of course, and it's these jobs reports. I mean, I don't remember a week where jobs reports caused us to move as much as we had. JOLTS report came out, we went down big. Then the ADP came out, we went up, which seemingly it was the opposite of what we heard from the JOLTS. Then this report today, of course, comes out. Crazy 6 standard deviation changes in the jobs report, and a lot of volatility created this week. Of course, this revolves around yields. 10-year yield, I think it hasn't breached this high yet. We'll see what it does today, but touched the high of 4.88% early in the week. 210 curve steepens to the smallest inversion since May. It was around 30 basis points. I'm not sure where it is now, but it continues to go higher. Then we had crude oil. Of course, going back from Thursday, Friday, when it was 95s, now all of a sudden was around $80 earlier, or a couple of days ago, 13% in 6 trading sessions. Gold and silver getting rocked. Dollar, 12th week in a row up. I mean, what do you do with all this?
Sometimes he cries.
I don't know. I got a lot of positions on, so I'm trying to manage.
So yeah, actually, that's a good point. So with that, obviously you are paying attention, and I've been talking about this all week, right? Like, there's a setup to sell basically downside in just about everything, and I mean not even everything that has to do with equities, right? Like gold IVR is up for the first time in a while. Silver's IVR, you could sell puts in those. You could sell puts in bonds. That's the hardest thing, right? Right now, you have to be careful about correlation. That's the biggest thing that's going on right now.
Agreed.
VIX and VVIX reached as high as 20.8 and 106.79. So let's see if we'll see if how this move goes. We'll see if we take those out. I think the one-day move heading into today was 41 points. We did touch that at one point. I'm looking to see if we move outside of that or if we end up having an inside move. Let's move to the next slide. Oh, this is, there's so many different ways to look at volatility. I like to pull out different ways. As you guys know, this is the volatility risk premium way, implied volatility minus historical volatility. How much do implieds trade over? Once we're at these levels, that's when we have some good selling opportunities. Obviously, you can almost guarantee that you're probably have a decent amount of positions on if we're at these levels that we're seeing right now, which, difference between VIX and current SPX 30-day historical volatility. This is the highest we've seen since the banking crisis, 6 months ago or whatever. So it's really interesting right now.
Volatility, what was it? /VX right around 18 is the mean for quite some time now. We've reached about almost 20. Not too long ago, I know you're looking at VIX here versus H versus implied versus historical, but we're right at the mean. I mean, this is a decent volatility for new positions. You just mentioned selling puts or both sides on something that's gotten beaten up. I think putting on I have more positions on now over the last week than I had over the last month and a half. So volatility's had some good to this. Now I need to get paid.
100%. I need to get paid too.
Exactly. Let's move ahead to the next slide. Also going higher, the bond vol, of course, B of A move index, this thing is surging once again. And we've seen this pattern a couple of times in the past year and change. When bond vol goes higher, equity vol goes higher, because, again, they're kind of tied together at this point, right? People don't know where bonds are going. And as a result, they're worried about how to price equities at this point in time. Let's move ahead to the next slide. This has been a story as well. I mean, not only have bonds been going down in the form of TLT, of course, 20-year long bond, but utilities have been getting rocked more recently. I feel like earlier in the week, I think it might have been Tuesday, saw some buying stepping in. People who step in to buy XLU just because it seemed like the play. But of course, I keep mentioning, I'm sure it's a great move, whether you want to get long it your various different ways. Just be aware. the more we're uncertain about bonds, the further bonds go down, the more utilities are going to go down in the meantime.
Yeah,
we did an XLU trade yesterday.
Yeah.
XLU trade near its lows.
Yeah, we sold some premium, a little bit skewed to the upside.
Yeah.
Ain't going to be good this morning.
XLU is down about 80 cents or so.
Yeah, so it's not going to be good.
And it's one of those where obviously you can withstand it a little bit more. The moves aren't as bad.
Listen, we played the contrarian reversion to the mean game today. It didn't work.
Yeah, but this is the other thing we're talking about, right? Like, I'm sure there's people out there who are short TLT and XLU, so just be a little wary. Don't get too big in that because
hate those people. Hate those people.
The same trade. Let's move to the next slide. Okay, Sean, the Uber driver.
Now, I like how you remember an Uber driver's name. I don't have a single.
I remembered his. I just thought it was funny. I just thought it was funny. Tom, I have this mind sometimes. I can't do anything about it. I wish I didn't remember his name. I wish I didn't. I just have this kind of mind, man. It just happens. I wish I could turn off. I remember quotes in movies that I shouldn't even remember. 30 years ago. It just happens. I can't do anything about it. Higher rates are beginning to make home builders happy, of course. Or I should say unhappy. Look at the way that they've moved just since August. I mean, as these rates started to take off, you're starting to see home builders turn over a little bit to your favorite home builders, along with the XHB and then also HD. So another thing to be wary of. Let's move ahead to the next slide. A lot of volatility everywhere, man. You could sell just about any damn thing. In closing here, nat gas had a big move on Thursday, 8% supposedly on the smaller than expected rise. And what do you guys think about that? Is it seasonal, or you got any nat gas going on, or no big deal?
No, the Ivy ranking there's been zero and nothing.
With everything else that's percolating, right? Maybe you look at price and you decided that maybe you wanted to do something in net gas that had been going sideways before this big move higher. But with volatility, and one, as Tom was just saying, there's so many other more liquid products too to be trading than net gas, which is a very big, heavy product too.
Yeah, I tend to I have some UNG positions on, but just because they're leftovers, just a bunch of short puts. I don't have any short premium in NG.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just funny how this happens, right? Like, we don't see this often, but there's, all these different things that are moving around: gold, oil, silver, nat gas, obviously equities. Yields and bonds. This is a crazy market. Dollar, of course. Dollar too. I'll get to that in a second. But 30-year treasuries, of course, are 45% off their highs from their highs of March of 2020. Dollar this week weakened against the yen. There was talk of intervention. There's been no confirmation on it, but that was another thing that moved crazy this week. When you're seeing currencies move around real crazy, that's also another indication of how wild the market is. Coinbase wants approval for a Singapore trading license this week. They moved big, so did Bitcoin, but they ended up kind of fading off. Yep. And then the next big thing we got going on is well, I don't even think it's big, but who knows now? September CPI report on October 12th, next week, a week from yesterday. And then research, October 2nd, the market measure, IVR's tail on finances outcomes. Take a look at that one.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Very good, very good. Hey, let's see. You want to catch the opening here,
Yeah, I want to catch the opening for sure. They just routed this boost back about 25 handles off their lows.
Maybe even a little bit more, as foretold. So we'll take a quick 90-second break. Come back. We got more Tasty Live after this with the opening bell. Thanks, Jamal.